Yo, what's good, everyone? I am Antonio Knox, and this is the Gradient Radio, a show for creatives by creatives. Yeah, we are working on that intro. If you listen to the last 3 episodes, you would realize there was no real cohesion to the intro, but we're working on that.
Now you have me.
And now I have Alex. And speaking of Alex, today she is our guest, one of the most extraordinary humans.
Oh, wow.
And amazing creative.
Oh, wow.
She's done so many things in the creative space, and she's making a name for herself. How are you today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm trying to figure out, trying to figure things out.
I live in trying to figure it out.
That's a great space to be, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're constantly learning and putting yourself in positions to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I don't have the pressure to feel like I got it right or like I know everything.
Facts.
So yeah.
Facts. We definitely see so many people who feel as if like they know things, they know it all, and often they put themselves in positions to look really foolish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever be that, even when I do know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. One thing I realized as a person who's like constantly doing things or just like reading things, I've come to the conclusion that I don't know anything at all. Because there's like so much knowledge and things are like constantly changing.
Yeah.
That it's like it's impossible to know it all.
It really is.
Right. If there was a pill that gave you the ability to know it all, would you take the pill?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to have a big head like Megamind. I don't know, because I feel like that would take the fun out of learning new things, experiencing new experiences. Like, if you know everything already. Like, because there's so much to that, like different cultures and stuff like that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to know everything.
Yeah, that seems like a burden to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read a quote or it was a passage a couple years ago, and it said that some of the creative people, not the creators, but some of the most intelligent people out there are really depressed because like they know too much.
Yeah.
Like they know too much.
They know too much, and then everybody's coming to you for the answer.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
I like to sleep, so.
Sleeping is good. But yes, like I said, today's guest is Alex Blvck. And, for those people who may not know who you are, could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm just a regular girl out here trying to get these stories off. Like, since I'm a baby in this, I don't think that there's a specific title that I have or that you could put me in right now. I'm just someone who always has a bunch of ideas. I like to express them visually and put the content out for people to enjoy.
Yeah.
So whether that's coming up with shows, helping people out with ideas that they have, helping them flesh out their ideas, hosting shows, different things like that. That's kind of where I live in right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to be in, honestly. I mean, for all of the things that you've accomplished, and feeling as if like you are a baby in the game. Could you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah. Well, honestly, like, I don't feel like I have a whole bunch of accomplishments under my belt. Yeah. Mainly, I just be working with you. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think, like, obviously, my biggest thing that people know me for is Music Heals, right?
Yeah. Which is your idea?
It is my idea. That's probably the only thing that I'm a part of that's been solely my idea. And so I just started that. It's been 5 years? 5 years in September.
Yeah.
That we put that on. That's been my only thing, and I've just been learning since then. So that's why I feel like I'm still a baby. I don't have a bunch of projects under my belt. I don't have a lot of technical skills. And sometimes it takes me a while to figure out what I want to do. Like, I remember early on, I thought it was photography, right? Bought all of the cameras, bought all of the things, and then quickly learned, like, I don't have the eye. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to try things out to realize that, okay, this isn't for me. So I took a L on that. But in taking that L, I realized that movement is my thing, like a visual movement versus a still, as in photography. So shows.
Yeah.
And that's where, and even with that, you still have to have like the groundwork for some photography, like aperture and f-stops and, you know, ISO, different things like that. So I don't know any of it. Like, I know about it, but I don't have like those skills under my belt yet. So I still have the room to grow in those areas.
Yeah.
But at least I know now.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you speak about photography that kind of like brings back memories. Because I remember, you know, I think like when we first met, and at that time you was working with Daniel.
Yeah.
But then like a little bit after that, you were like taking photos for your then church at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember like that immediately came to my mind when you were showing me like some of the shots that you were doing.
I forgot I did that. Oh my God.
Right? What, that was like, wait, over 5 years ago, something like that?
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Dang. I was out here. I sure was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the memories are real.
Well, you know my memory bad, so yeah. I forgot. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, so, you know, I definitely feel as if you have a unique perspective of things, because you do feel as if like you are new in the game or a baby in the game.
Yeah.
But even though you feel as if as well that you haven't done so many things, there are things you have done. And so I definitely want to speak to like Music Hills and where that idea came from and how you then started to like implement it.
So Music Hills is an idea that I had many a year ago. When I first moved back from New Jersey back to Richmond. And I was staying with my aunt, and Saturday morning, you know, clean up or whatever. At that time, like, I had begun collecting vinyl, and I had a record player that I could actually listen to it. And I remember putting on this Earth, Wind & Fire record. It's Spirit by Earth, Wind & Fire. That's the specific record I was listening to. And my aunt came by, and she was like, girl, this album got me through my freshman year of college. And I was like, you know what? It's probably a lot of people out there who have stories set to music, like just like you did. So, you know, I was just talking to her about it, and you know, I said music, and you know, she said something about music, and I was like, Music Heals, and I was like, oh shoot, that's it. And me being me, I hadn't even. I think maybe I knew of you. We worked together on some things, but I don't think we weren't heavy in the game with each other yet.
Okay.
And so I write things down. So I wrote it down, and I kept on like building that idea out, you know, getting little pieces of what I wanted to do, you know, looking at people around the city to get a list of names of who I wanted to come on, and things like that. Because I remember after that, that's when I had like a little bit of a list going on. That's when I hit you up, and we met at Brewers, and we sat in Brewers all day, and built that idea out. And I remember like thinking that these people were like so far out there, you know what I'm saying, that they couldn't be attainable. And you was like, I hit them up right now. You got right on that phone, like, and it was like, boop, Liney Beat, boop, you know what I'm saying, Dre Eastwood, boop, 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 both fields. Yeah. And it just was, and it's crazy that I had, like, you know, those caliber of people on the first, like, season.
Or
in
volume.
The first couple, first volume, the first couple episodes. And then, like I said, you know, you and I were there for the majority of the day. And by the time we left out of there, the only thing we needed was a location to shoot. And the owner, AJ Brewer, shout out to AJ. AJ was like, what y'all been doing in there out there? And we told him about the idea, and then he thought it was dope, and we just needed the place to shoot. But he was like, y'all can shoot it here.
Yeah.
So that man,
That's when he first
like,
opened up too.
he first opened up,
Yeah.
and he opened up his space to us for the free.
Mm-hmm.
Would come like after work, you know what I'm saying? After he closed up the shop and let us be in there for hours. But he was enjoying it too. He was enjoying, like, you know,
For
that
sure.
experience
Yeah.
right along with us. And that's just crazy how, you know, we put it out there, and it just, you know, took off like that. But I think it was important for me to, even though I may sit on ideas for too long,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to come with some level of preparedness though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely want to go back to when you said you feel as if like we weren't like relatively close at that point, because, you know, I think we were a lot closer than you imagine as of now. And I only say that because my camera like stopped like working.
I forget that too. Dang.
Yes. I had a Canon at the time, and I went to like the sand dunes and the Outer Banks, and the camera that I had at the time was my first camera I ever bought, and we went to the Outer Banks getting like some fire shots of like the sand dunes and all of that. But because it was one of my first cameras, it wasn't like super expensive. That also meant that it didn't have some features that would come with like some of the older or some of the best model cameras. And so it wasn't like weather sealed.
Yeah.
It wasn't weather sealed. And so like the whole day when I was like taking pictures or videos, sand was blowing within the camera. Sand was coming into the camera. And so I didn't realize it until later on when I tried to cut it on, and I heard nothing but sand in the camera. And I guess like one day me and Alex met up, and I was just kind of like telling her about like everything that was happening with my camera, me trying to get a new camera, that she invested I think like $250 at that time for me to get a new camera. So I think you completely forgot about that moment.
I did. And because, you know what, like, we were cool, but I think we weren't on the level that we are now, right? We definitely got closer after that. So my main reasoning behind that wasn't even because of like our friendship. It was just because I knew how good of that you were at your job, and I didn't want your works to cease just because you didn't have the equipment that was needed. And so I had the money, and I just gave it to you, like, because I wanted you to keep producing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nah, it was definitely a blessing to me, and I definitely wanted to like throw back that blessing when it came to, you know, assisting you when it came to like the music hills. And
bro, I didn't even know like that. I'm today years old. We've been working together for like, it's been like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just not connecting the dots as like I did that, and this is how you showed your gratitude, you know, with helping me with everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know the power of like paying it forward is just like, you just never know how that's going to come back to you. And it's going to come back to you in many ways. And from you taking that step for doing Music Hills, and the doors that opened up, the relationships that you created, the relationships that you fostered.
Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to, you know, going after Music Hills and then what transpired afterwards?
Yeah, so at that time, like, you know, beforehand, like you said, I was working with Daniel, DR3, you know, very talented rapper, engineer, producer in the city. And that's where, like, I cut my teeth, like, with a lot of things. That's where I met a lot of people who were movers and shakers, so to speak, in the city. So I kind of had some idea of, like, who to go for. And I really had to get over not being comfortable going up to people and being like, hey, can you come on my show? You know what I mean? Like, because these people, oh man, they didn't know me, you know, and I have this idea. I remember, like, it was Manchester Manifest, for example, and Big Rich and Hip Hop Henry, you know, they were under the Cheats movement at that time. And so they're big. And so, I'm talking to both fields. I'm just standing out there. I'm like pacing, like, okay, I got to do this, because I had already had Bo on the show by that point.
Yeah.
And it took a while, and it was hard, like, but I did it. I walked up to them and I said, hey, whatever. I said, I have this show. I would like for you to come on. We talk about music, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, like, from then, it kind of took off. After because I had them on the later episodes, but after we put out Bruce, Joey Gallo, Dre Eastwood, and them and the platforms that they have, them sharing it, I started to go out to places for networking purposes. I remember the night I went to Noah O's like release party or something like that, and Ricky Parker was like, "You're Alex Blvck." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I know Ricky, right? Everybody knows Ricky.
Yep.
And he was like, "So you're Alex Blvck?" All of this stuff, and then like Michael Millions was in the back. We were at Black Iris, and then he was like, "Yo, you do music here? When y'all gonna get me on the show?" Like, I was like, "Wow, that was probably the best night that I had." I still remember that vividly because it just was like so gratifying. You know what I mean? I felt like that confirmation, like, okay, I got something good here that people want to be a part of. So yeah.
It seems like that was like a moment for you.
It was
a moment,
for sure.
A moment in time that you will always remember.
It was on like creatively, and I met a guy who like worked for some news station or something like that, and we were just chopping it up. It's actually DJ Mento's brother. He was in town.
Okay.
And then he was telling me, like, he was like, "Yo, people pay people like you, like, who have ideas, and they pay people like you to come up with the ideas for shows."
Yeah.
I never thought about that like that. So he was the first person, just for me, just talking, to say, you can do this, you can make money from this, and this could be like a profession. So that was a great night. Shoot.
So that also changed your perspective of like your ideas, right? I can imagine that like you saw much more value in your ideas at that point when he kind of affirmed
for sure
your position at that time.
Yeah, because I'm like a positionless player right now. Like, I never know what to call it. I never know what category to put myself in. So
yeah.
Just be out here.
Nah, I definitely knew it had power. Like once you told me about it, because when you told me about the story of how you got the epiphany, and you told me that, and I was like, that's a real thing, because I remember times in my life that there was like a soundtrack to something that got me through something, or there was something that happened in that moment in which the music was the score for that particular scene or whatever, and I'm like, yo, like that's super powerful. And I understood like how many more other people felt that way, so I already knew you had something. I was like, yo, like we just need to kind of like get this out there. And you saw that other people as well just kind of like resonated with it too. So do you have a favorite episode for Music Hills?
Oh man, well, I never thought I'd be in the position where, like, you see interviews with people and they got a CD or album coming out, and somebody says, pick your favorite track, and they were like, I can't just pick one. This is my baby. Like, now I'm like, I never thought I'd be in a position to feel like that, but I feel like that. And this is hard because I like so many different ones for so many different reasons. Dang, I got to divide that up by, like, categories.
That's crazy, because I thought you was going to say Mike's.
Michael Millions?
Yeah. And because, like,
that don't stress me out the most.
How that, even though, like, that was the one you recorded, right? Because
yes.
I
messed it up.
I wasn't able to make it that day, but she was able to, like, do the recording. Did you do the editing on that one as well? She did the editing on that one as well. And ultimately, like, what transpired, like, afterwards from that.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought that would... Do you want to kind of, like, speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Okay, so I think the reason why Michael, I wouldn't put it as my favorite is just because how stressed out I was doing that without you. Like, little things that anybody else isn't going to realize, but I know, like, as he's doing his mic check verse, that the focus is going out. And I can't fix it. I did not know what button to push to get that thing back in focus. So, and he said that whole verse, and right as he finished, he went out of focus. That was nothing but God. Thank God, because like, mic check. The mic check verses are one take. So it was that. I remember my sister was having a baby, and that's when I set up all night
Wow.
in the hospital editing it.
Wow.
that day, I said, folks in the waiting room, yo, look at this real quick. You like this? And so after that, he spoke about D'Angelo's Brown Sugar album, another Richmond legend, D'Angelo, and we did it. It was great. I remember that day, like, AJ posted it, and he was like, yo, you got one of the best projects in the city. So, like, more affirming things. And later on, when Michael was releasing his the latest album, he hit me up and was like, yo, basically, he had just got off the phones with D'Angelo's people. And they saw, like, an interview that he did, and things like that. And they basically, like, let him get the samples, like two D'Angelo samples for free. So he had those on his album. One of my favorite songs, Black Sugar. I love that song so much. And so, like, he just hit me. He was like, it's crazy because I don't ever answer, like, unknown numbers. But something told me to answer that number, that day. And he did. And it was D'Angelo's people. And so the interview that they saw was the Music Hill. I don't know how in the world that I really don't know how that happened, but I remember him texting me like, I just want you to know that the legend saw your work. That's crazy. Another one of those moments like I hold on to. Sometimes I'd be forgetting about it, but yeah, like, your work really can have a reach that is beyond your imagination. I honestly don't know how to, because we don't put Music Hills on YouTube.
Nah.
It's strictly on Vimeo, or if you know the actual page, it's on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that was a great moment.
Yeah, I think that was a teaching lesson in a sense that the work doesn't have to be perfect. Right? It doesn't have to be like this spectacular thing to be able to garner attention from, like, anybody.
Yeah.
As long as people understand the intent and the message behind it, then it's kind of going to resonate with, like, other people. And even though like you hated, going through the process of, like, shooting, and you didn't understand how to necessarily use the camera to its efficient level, you still were able to capture the essence of what was happening. And he was still able to tell the story in which so many amazing things happened, like, afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so.
And, also, like, even though Mike was able to get those samples, it was also, like, a full circle moment for us when he got the samples, because what happened afterwards? We were able to...
Get what? Get at the ICA?
Nah, the movie.
The movie, child. So when it came down to us needed to replace the copyrighted music that we had in the short film that we worked on, Healing. Check that out once we release it to the masses. And so, I'm freaking out like, oh, Knox wants me to be A&R. I don't know what that means. I'm Googling it. I'm asking friends what's an A&R. Like, all I know is rappers. I remember telling you that, like, all I know is rappers.
All you know is rappers.
And you was like, that's what we need. Oh, I got it then. And so I hit Mike, and that was just great because, honestly, nobody who I hit up gave me any pushback. Everybody immediately said yes. They didn't care about finding out any details about it. They didn't ask for cost. They didn't ask this and that. He texted me back like, go ahead. Remember that? Remember I was recording it? Remember the moment I saw it? Like, and I was just dumbfounded looking at my phone, and he was just like, yes. And it was because when I went to your house that day to do some editing for it, you had already put the song in there. So I'm hearing it and how you placed it for the first time.
Yeah.
As soon as the scene changed and I heard that cassette tape start and then that drop, I was like, we absolutely have to have this. I'm getting over whatever nervousness I have. I'm hitting Michael Millions right now. And he let us get that for the free. And so we was able to put that in the film. And I think that's so, that dynamic about, like, what's going on in that scene and what this gritty song is sounding like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Yeah, I felt like it was a perfect balance.
For sure.
It's a perfect balance.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the yin to the yang.
Yin to the yang, for sure.
So you've had this idea of Music Hills. You had it for like a couple years, and then you paid it forward by by investing into me to getting a camera, and then I wanted to pay you back because I was super grateful that I was able to get the camera. From that point on, we were able to find different guests, have different volumes for Music Hills, and in that process, there was like a shift for you, would you say, because you were learning about the process of like shooting videos, editing videos, but also you started to overcome reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Right? You started to build the confidence of going to like networking events and just like developing new friendships.
Yeah.
By having this idea and, essentially going after it. Could you speak about that journey of, starting from like where you started from and, ultimately like being nervous about these things or feeling a particular way about these things, and then over time having a confidence of where you are now?
Yeah, and it took me all that time to get there. I told you I was gonna forget. Edit this out. Boop. No, it took me that time to gain that confidence in doing it, and I still feel like that. Like, obviously, just a couple months ago, we needed to hit people up for their songs, and I was still feeling that apprehension.
Yeah.
But it's just something that sometimes you just got to get over it. And it's definitely something that comes with time, but just working on Music Hills, meeting new people, putting myself out there, it's just blossomed into other opportunities for myself. It's blossomed into something that people recognize, like the greatness in it, or I wouldn't say greatness, I don't want to put myself out there like that, but the power in telling these stories and what they can do.
Yeah.
And to this day, people come up to me on the street and be like, "When is the show coming back?" Like, it's time now. I still have an episode that I know the album. Like, shout out to Ron P. Sorry, Ron. And so that's just great though that I've created something that people want to be a part of like that, and they make ways for me, right? Because remember, after a while, it got a little hard to start like shooting at Brewers. Brewers took off at the same time as the show took off.
Yeah.
So it was getting difficult to shoot there. I put myself out. I remember going to different businesses. It was a new like startup business in Carytown. They ain't there no more.
They
but no. And I went in there and I'm asking the guy, can we basically shoot at your place? Because then a week before I had met one of the workers and he's like, this is the space that we have and we want people from the community to come in. When I showed up to speak about it again, he didn't work there no more. I guess he got fired. So the owner had no clue. They was kind of like playing me a little bit, like laughing, like, "Oh, you're the worker you talk to, blah blah blah." And so I'm asking, could they sponsor me? Just using like different language. Maybe that wasn't the correct thing I should have said. And he was like, "Well, how is that gonna benefit me? Like, what can I do to write this off in taxes?" And I was like, "Dog, I just want to use the building. Like, I'm not asking you to put no money into it." But once I got down to showing him who's been on the show, he knew those people. So he knew Joy Gallo. He knew Noah O. He knew Lonnie B. He had these deep relationships with these folks. And he was like, off the strength of who you had on the show, I'm going to let you come in here and shoot.
Had the receipts.
You know what I mean? So, like, that was dope for the one episode we shot there, Jess Snyder. And then after that, it just didn't work. But from that again,
I forgot we shot that.
Yeah, we shot. She did the Lauryn Hill album, and had to take a break again after that because we didn't have a place to shoot. We shot at what is now Chalele, their brick and mortar. I forget what it was called before then. Soleil.
We shot at Soleil?
We shot an episode there. We never released it. Blair's episode. Sorry, Blair. But we shot an episode there. But this is just like people opening up their spaces because you've had portraits there.
Yeah.
And it's just, off the strength of what we built, people opening up their spaces to us. And then that didn't work out. And so in walks Sheets, who had the connection at the ICA, which was new at the time. And he's like, look, let me just, speak to some people and I'll be back in touch. And we got to shoot in that beautiful space, like, for a whole new we revamped the whole show. Like, it's like, we're shooting here. We need to redo the intro.
Yeah,
Rebrand for sure.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy. And it was sometimes weird being in there because, like, remember, like, people will walk by and look at us like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
In the whole shot. Remember that boy was standing like he was security.
He was just standing.
He was just standing in the shot with his arms folded, like, what y'all doing? Sir, dude, like, we have permission to be here. But, even just being in that and working with shooting in a live installation, with people who are coming in from the public, walking in. But I think visually, like, we did some of our best work.
Yeah, I think that was
we switched to, like, that 2-camera component. So you had, like, the stationary, but then you also had, like, the room.
Yeah.
We was in our bags.
Shots was fire. Yeah.
We was in our bags on that one. So some of my favorite episodes have definitely come from that volume, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so what is, if you had to pick, because I know you was trying to figure out earlier, if you had to pick, because initially I remember you was telling me, I think it was like Ricky's at one point.
Story, yes, I love Ricky's story just because it was so Virginia, and like
because the clips, right?
He did the NERD album.
Oh, nerd. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember?
I know. Who am I today? I don't know. But he did that album, and it was so Virginia based, and I remember, like, I'm a young adolescent at that time, so I'm growing up and having experiences, and I knew the things that he was talking about. I remember when Creative Rex, like, everybody was wearing those, and Pharrell, and it was popping off, and how proud I was, just because you ain't from Richmond, but you're still from Virginia, and that counts. You know what I mean? And then I remember, like, having an idea about wanting, and I hadn't even talked to you about it, but I had an idea about how we would edit the B-roll shots. And I wanted it to be like slow motion into like a fast thing. And that episode was so fire. You went home and edited it that night. Like, when I got home that night, you had already sent me the file. Like, I started working on it. Look at it. And you did that, like, slow motion into the fast. And we hadn't even talked. We be here. Sometimes you scare me. And I just, again, so many good feelings. It's like, and that episode was special to me too, because it took a while to shoot, because we were supposed to shoot him 2 years ago before we did that. And then, scheduling things, it didn't work out. But it happened when it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And that was a whole shift. Like, I did a whole thing, with people who are in the city creatively, but also, like, I remember I said, have their faith woven into, like, the fabric of their work. So Sterling, Radio B, he had just put up Jesus Never Wears a Suit, everything like that. So that whole volume right there, that was very special to me. Sterling's, he's one of my favorite just because of visually. We shot Ricky's in, like, the afternoon, so we lost that sunlight. But Sterling's,
that's Chris.
Yes. So that one, for the visuals, Ricky for the memories, Joey Gallo just for the story, just because, he remembered coming down from the Toronto Blue Jays game and putting on that Nas album. Nas that came out, and putting on that Jay-Z, and how, they rode all the way back to Virginia listening to it. But it was also the conversation that we had about, him being industry connected. And these are what the white executives wanted, right? They told him, oh, you need to get tattoos, or you need to, get some piercings. And that's why, basically saying that these things are the reasons why we as Black people gravitate to the artist. And I felt so offended. Like, not only did I start Music Hills, like, as a response to what I was seeing visually on the news every day, which was a lot of police brutality in 2016. So I wanted to show us in a different light, but I also wanted to prove that we have experiences and memories to music just like anybody else does.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to create a platform where we could get those stories off.
Yeah.
And so that's it.
Yeah. And like I said before, like there were so many people who resonated with it. And I also forgot we had Chauncey.
We sure daggone did.
We had Chauncey on there.
Yes, AT Aliens versus Equimini. That's a whole thing. Like to this day, music has no. Outkast's 2 biggest albums. It's either you're Equimini or you're AT Aliens, and he was AT Aliens. That was dope too. I remember we put out his whole. I'm remembering these things in spurts.
Yeah.
But we did him, Marcus Gold, and Daniel, and that was like one of the last series that we shot in Brewers.
Yeah.
And I remember putting out we did a trailer for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man,
the trailer's fire.
It was great. Yeah, it was in our bags.
Yeah. I think, there are, people still come to you and still talk about the show still to this day and still ask you to be on it. I'm just going to ask the question that everyone else is asking or want to ask, when are you potentially bringing, that show back? Because, I haven't done one, I haven't been on front of the camera. I got stories to tell.
Oh, man.
So, have you thought about bringing it back?
Of course. I always think about bringing it back. But I think that, obviously, people know, yes, it's my idea, but this is a venture that we take on together, right? So you had, popped off and you were doing, all of these things. Then both of us went through what we went through with our battles with grief, losing family members and things like that. And then also I remember Cheats telling me one day that basically to get more things under my belt because I didn't want to, be stuck as a one-trick pony. And I think that has stuck with me. Yes, I know the importance of music heals. I know how powerful it is. That is the one that's near and dear to my heart. But I have so many other ideas that I've also been working on throughout this time, that I've told you about. We've written treatments and, created outlines and things like that. And the show is ready to go concept-wise, these other shows. It's just, life happened. So I kind of want to get those things out there too.
For sure.
And maybe 2022.
Maybe
2022 if Rona chill on us a little bit.
Yeah.
We do need a new place to record. Someone did say that they had an idea for.
Okay. Word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this is not me. This is, I don't know, just the power of the show and people what do I need to do to help you make this happen? And, I'm very grateful for that. But I want to do everything.
Yeah.
Not just that. So, let's say 2022. Let's aim for that.
Hey, y'all heard that, right?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, keep me accountable.
Everybody who heard that or everyone who's listening or watching, you heard that. You saw that.
Accountable. I promise.
I'm going to create a little clip
off
of this and put that as that.
Oh, no.
2022. Music Hill returns.
2022 is a long. Listen, we got the tail end of winter, spring, summer. Okay.
She didn't specify.
I didn't specify when.
If it's going to come in January, February.
That's facts.
Third quarter, fourth quarter.
We could get back to October again, and it still be 2022 next year.
1 year later.
Oh man.
Okay. For everyone out there who's waiting, we're just gonna have to wait. We're just gonna have to wait.
Let me let me say this. If I get the Sue show really off of the ground a little bit, as far as I know who the host will be, as far as location, getting the restaurants to agree and figuring out how we're gonna operate and and get the show off in the way that I envision it within Corona, within, still being very much so in the pandemic. If that if I feel comfortable, like, okay, and I get a hard date maybe with that, then I can delve back into Music Heals, because that's really nothing. That's just me. I already know who I want to have next. It's just really finding out what's up with this new location and then getting the records.
Yeah.
Securing the records for the guests, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you. I think everyone could agree to the things that you're saying right now, and it makes sense.
Thank you.
So, after Music Hills and, taking the suggestions from Cheats, what did you transition to afterwards?
After Music Heals, I just started really developing more ideas for shows. The one that I just mentioned, another one, A Different Nerd. So I really wrote those ideas down and tried to just conceptualize it. Who am I going to get to be on the show? What is it going to be about? Where is it going to live? Things like that. And then more opportunities started popping off for me. So Richard Hernandez, who also has been on the show, talked about the Wu-Tang album. They branched off from the Cheats Movement podcast and started Booze and Grooves, him and Hip Hop Henry. And they wanted a woman to be a part of the show, to bring that perspective and have that voice. And so they reached out to me to come on and be a part of it. And I said yes. And so I am one of the co-hosts of the Booze and Grooves podcast. So it's Big Rich, KB, Bobby Fresh, me, Melodic when he shows up, and Hip Hop Henry. And, basically we just get together, play music, tell stories, commentate a little bit on pop culture, what's going on. But it's really just us, coming together as music lovers who, again, have had these experiences to music. So you play, whatever song hip hop plays, it could send somebody down the memory lane. You know what I mean? Like you playing Lou Rawls, and KB got a story about how he almost got to fighting with Lou Rawls, which is crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, Rich is always messing with girls, and I like this girl in the 3rd grade. This song was playing, and Cressidas, and I don't know any. And I'm young, so I don't know what they be talking. What is a Cressida? It's a car. Yeah. For those of us who are young and don't know, it's a car. So that. And that's about to come back. We just got approached to bring the show back and be a part of a network. So we're working on that. After that, they also had the idea to start an all vinyl dance party called Wax Build Up. And again, they called me and asked me, did I want to host? Now, this one I don't understand because I'm a horrible host. I don't like being in front of cameras. I definitely don't like being on mics. So I'm very bad at public speaking. So I'm not that good at it, not going to lie. If you come to a Wax Build Up show, you probably see me in the corner. But that's, again, where we are able, as music lovers, to get off everything, because we're not confined to having to play top 40 because it's on vinyl. So it's all genres, all eras, all vinyl. That's the tagline that I came up with for the show. And that's taking us, to new heights. Getting into locations where I normally probably wouldn't go, like the Jungle Room. We've been in Black Iris. Just talked to Chance, and he wants us to come here to Common House and throw a party here, which is a demographic that I didn't think would fit us, but I guess the work speaks for itself. Yeah. So those are the only 2 things that I really do outside of my own personal ideas.
Have you sat down and really thought about how having a idea, which was Music Hills, and how that has like changed your life in many ways?
Yeah. Like I totally know, like, that me meeting all of these people and getting all of these opportunities directly relates to the work that I've done, which started with Music Hills. And even before that, probably like starting with Daniel, like I really met a lot of people. Like that's when I first found out about Earl Mack and Chalele and different things like that. And And so, yeah, a lot of the groundwork that I laid, I know that where I'm at now, even though still very much babyish, is because of, the work I put in back then.
Yeah.
Those,
Yeah. I mean, that's a testament to like anybody out there listening. If you have an idea, just like go for it.
Go for it. Write it down, because we commit things better to memory once we write it down. That's why, like, because you always hit me up on like a text and you be like, what you think about this? And then you like build off of that. I always tell, now I'm about to get on you. I always say like Knox is like a math teacher, because you can never say you like something and that be it. Like, you have to show your work. You know how math teachers used to be like, nah, you got to show your work. You just can't say the answer.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, no, why? Sometimes they be like, just because I said so. Like, but no, like, I can see why you need like a little bit more detail, in it. And so, yeah, I forget what I was talking about. I told you I'd be forgetting. Like, I get lost in my brain.
It's all good. You were speaking about how if you have an idea, making sure to write it down.
Please write it down. Like I was saying, you commit it to memory better when you write things down. And then you could always come back to it. Back in the day, like I really got to go through my things, because I probably have thousands of sticky notes. I was forever at work, like getting an idea and writing it on a sticky note. Honestly, I've been doing that since college. In the back of like comms class, the professor talking and I get an idea about something and I'm writing it at the top of my notes, and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of writing things down and then building it out from there. And don't put that pressure on yourself to feel like you have to have it out like at a certain time. Because I come up with ideas. What I'm about to do in 2022, I thought about years ago. But I gave myself that time to flesh it out.
Yeah.
And now it's pretty much ready. They're pretty much ready to go. Yeah.
So at what point would you call yourself a novice creative or a master creative?
Ooh.
How long do you think that would take? Would it take, having a lot more things underneath your belt, or years?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever call myself a master. I don't think that's language that I would ever place upon myself. I feel like somebody else has to do that. If they ask me to do a master class, maybe then I'll I'll think about it then. But I just don't.
I'm gonna have to get you doing a workflow.
Oh. Me and my mouth, man. We get
you forgot who you're talking to, right? You forgot what this brand was all about.
Oh my God. But no, yeah, I don't think that I would ever like classify myself as that. I feel like that's for other people to say, but I think once I get a little bit more skills under my belt, when I get more projects, I feel a little bit more confident. In my ability. Right now, it's just the ideas.
Yeah.
I would like to have like more technical skills.
Yeah.
So I'm not so dependent on other people.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
That's understandable. Myself, I still don't feel as if like I'm at any sort of mastery level,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of like how many years or how many projects I've done.
Yeah.
Speaking to earlier about when we were speaking about like if you would take a pill, to know everything. I still feel as if like if I knew how to do everything and in a sense of like creativity or just being a creative, I would still feel the same way. Because there are things out there that like, I don't know.
Like, where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? Knowing everything. There would be no enlightenment from the 100 pages a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that feeling like
Facts.
when you see something for the first time and it hit.
Yeah.
And you like, oh,
yeah.
Let me break out the green marker for this, the highlighter. Like let me commit this to memory. I never want to like lose that feeling.
Yeah. No, and I was thinking about this. I was talking to someone, and they were, a lot of us say if we get to a point in our lives, we would be good, right? Like whether we had a particular house, whether we had a particular job, whether we had like a set of money, we feel as if like we would be good. But like typically what happens is when people get to that place, two things: they're never settled, or like when they get to that place, they are like bored, right? So there's like no creativity in when you have everything ultimately, right? Like creativity is birthed out of like limitation. Like when you don't have something, so you have to find a way to to be able to create that thing within like those limitations and those boundaries that you have. And when you have everything, it's like, one, you have like too many options, or two, you're not motivated because you already have it.
Put that on a shirt. This is when like when I hear something that's really good, I'll probably yell at you, put that on the shirt. Put that on the shirt. Creativity is birthed out of limitations.
Yeah, creativity is birthed out of limitations.
Write that down.
I mean, also like with hip hop too, right? Like that was birthed out of these inner city kids just using the records of their parents and creating a whole new sound.
Bro, plugging up into like the street lamps outside for electricity, like we gonna make a way. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. So we worked on a project together. Well, we worked on like mini projects. Yeah. We worked on mini projects. Yeah. The more project I want to speak about, the most recent project we worked on, the one that was in our first film festival.
Yeah. Healing.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing you can go ahead and talk about it now, but like, how does it feel? It's my show now. How does it feel to have worked on your first short film officially, right? Because you just like me, like you be putting out things all the time. Like you have ideas and you're gonna make it happen. So you started on 2 Street. You started on what is it? Endless Night, A Long and Stormy Night.
Yep. Something like that.
Something like that. So you have, these bodies of work under your belt, but Healing is the actual full short film. How does it feel to have done something like that for the first time and it got into a film festival?
I don't think I've really like sat down with it. Even though we had a couple of screenings when we had the opportunity to be able to speak about it and to respond to questions that people had about it.
Yeah.
I haven't like really sat down with it, and that's like with all of my projects, right? Like I don't know how I feel about them, right? Because like once I do one thing, then it's like on to the next one, on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know how it is. Like you have an idea, and you're like, oh man, like I want to do this. It's just like super dope. Then it's like you do that. It's like, okay, I got another idea. Like this gonna be like better than the last idea. And so it's like I haven't really sat down to really think about, one, the effects of it, and two, just the process of it. And I think, but I would say one thing about this is like due to the screenings, I did have more time to reflect.
Yeah.
I did have more time to reflect because like we had to like respond
definitely
to it. And I realized that like the catalyst of certain things was the birth of Healing, basically.
You about to say something else that needs to go on a shirt? Ooh. Oh man, no, like definitely. And I think that also speaks to who we are as people. Working on the film and holding the Q&As definitely put us in the position to receive praise, even though that's not why we held the Q&A sessions afterwards. It was because this is our first time. How can we make this better in your opinion? But amongst the I wouldn't say criticisms, the helpful hints that we did get was a lot of accolades. And, you know, people flying in from different states to come to the screening. You know what I mean?
Huge.
Like,
That was big.
that was crazy.
That was big for you. Like, I know that had to feel amazing.
That felt
like
really good.
Cali, though. Like, across the country.
I know, and she's surprised. Like, I didn't know until that day. I heard this knock at my door, and I thought it was my little sister when I looked at the peephole. And so, like, yeah, that's crazy. Just, you know, having those people who want to celebrate those moments like that. Like, no, this is a bigger deal than you're allowing yourself to, you know, realize right now. It's okay to, like, live in that moment.
Yeah. That whole process, you know, when we just the ideation process of it, you know, getting everyone who was initially a part of it, coming up with it, shooting it, like, you know, finding a place and us being nested in this beautiful home. And, you know, just allowing months to go by and, like, the things that happened within, like, those months and how it was able to get the film to, like, where it got to. And ultimately just having this experience. And, you know, I just kind of, like, want to touch more on that, just like, having an idea and just, like, going for it.
Yeah.
Like, because that was just, like, an idea. Like,
You did.
It was just, like, an idea.
And, you know, like, and I tell this to, well, I just said this to you, like, the other week, like, we do the work of teams.
Yeah.
Like, people have
Facts.
several people
Yeah.
in place to produce the things that you and I produce. And we just get together, we'll have an idea and build it out, like, on our own. And I feel like that's what happened here. Like, because you remember, you met Dorian when we had the idea for the RVA versus Richmond show.
Yeah.
And that's when I first, like, put you in touch with, you know, we were looking for screenwriters.
I'm up you on that one. You met Dorian because of Music Hills.
Very true. I was about to go back down that lane too, which is wild. He was doing things with Noah O, and he's another one who, you know, I look to because he has the equipment to shoot. He's knowledgeable about shooting film and taking pictures, but he's a screenwriter. Like, that's his bread and butter.
Yeah.
So, you know, and he was one of the ones that told me once when I was telling him, you know, that I realized photography wasn't my thing. He was like, but you still need those basics of photography, though.
Yeah.
Like, you still are going to have to go back
Facts.
and get those things under your belt. So, yeah, and he just ended up just being a cool guy. And he used to go out on these shoots, and I remember he, you know, put out there one day, hey, who wants to come out with me and, you know, shoot? So put me in, coach. I want to come. You know what I mean? So, you know, just building, you know, stuff off of that. And I knew he was a screenwriter. He let me read his stuff, and I was coming to the workshops that he had. And then, you know, you and I were building out that idea and put him in touch with you. And then you hit him up on your own, though. So you had already had the band of brothers together. You know, you had Kaylin, you had Monty, you had Dorian, you had the concept. And you so graciously allowed me to come along for the ride.
Stop playing.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah. A couple years ago, I came to the conclusion that, like, I already had everything that I needed in a sense of, like, if I wanted to create something, the tools and the resources that I needed was, like, already around me. I just had to find a way to, like, to put it together. That's all it was. Like, I had, like, people who made music, like the screenwriter, like the actors, like anything that I wanted to have in my life. It was like, it was all around me. Like, it wasn't going to come to me. I had to, like, go out there and, like, get it.
Yeah.
Or just, like, to even ask questions. And once, like, I came to that conclusion, I was like, yo, like, this don't, like, right there. Like, God is not, like, he's not bringing it to me as in a sense of, like, they're coming to me and doing things or, like, wanting me to do things. I already had the idea, and I was like, all I had to do was just, like, ask this person, like, boom, like, just connect. Ultimately, it's like, you know, like, those those books back in the day where like it would be like dots to be able to form whether it was like a star or like a character.
Yeah.
Like it was, that's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to connect the dots. Like I had the idea. It's like boom, 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 healing.
Yeah.
That's what it was, bro. Like
I appreciate too, like, just, you know, as someone who's your friend and as someone who's, you know, around you often, you know, working with you in a creative capacity, just seeing like your growth. Like I remember when you told me like I'm about to do this full time. You know what I mean? Prayed about it and then actually like did it. And once you stepped out there like on faith, you just were provided for. You know what I mean? Like the opportunities just came into place, and we're always like in the space of I want to learn. I want to get this like under my belt. So we be out here almost about to be directing TV shows. You know what I mean? Because it's something we never did before.
Facts.
But we're not gonna say no. Like, you know what I mean? Like you, even though you've never like done that TV show, you're like, I think it'd be dope to get this, to see what it's about.
Facts.
And we in production meetings with, you know what I mean? Like this is about to be on TV, and it's like we still babies in this, but you're not about to act like it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna let your price reflect that, which I appreciate. And you're not gonna let anybody try to diminish your work, right? You set a level of like expectation and like a level of excellency, and you don't let nobody play you.
Nah.
I appreciate like seeing it. And then like sometimes you'll send me the text, is this too harsh? And it'll be like, you know, people be trying to almost look at you like you sure, oh, I've worked with this team, but it's like, you don't need a team. You know what I mean? I appreciate being able to witness that, like, as your friend. Yeah. That's like when I finally, you know, get there, it's like I have that expectation. Like, I know what road to follow because you already walked down the path.
Yeah. So
thank you for that. I told you it's my show now.
So introduce yourself. Like, I am Alex. I am Alex Blvck, and this is the Creative. And today's guest is a guest I've been on every single day.
Nah, because I said Knox got me in here on camera being scared. I'm going to come in here and make him laugh. That was my goal today. Yes.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. We even it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's next for you? Do you have 3-year goals, 8-year goals for the things that you want to accomplish creatively?
Like I said, like one of my I think my first goal is to really get the Sue show off the ground. I've had that idea for like a number of years, and that just stems from my love of cooking shows. I love watching cooking shows, especially like a well shot cooking show.
Yeah.
Remember that episode I showed y'all of Chef's Table?
Yeah, I remember that.
I just want to make work like that, and I'm very passionate about putting people who look like me in these spaces. So I don't see a lot of young black and brown cooking show, food show hosts, but I know that we enjoy these things too. And so that's where the idea of the Sue show came out. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
yeah.
somebody might take it from me.
Hey, nah, just get that thing copyrighted.
But yeah, like
trademarked.
You know, I had that idea. I remember I told you about it, and when we were going to go get passports, and I hit you up and asked you to be a part. Years later is when we actually, like, I wrote the treatment and we shot the intro with Daniel. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that goes back to writing it down, you know, making it plain. Then we got that time to develop it, and now we're here now. Of course, you know, life happened, pandemic, and so that's the thing that I really want to focus on first, because even Daniel will be asking me, like, when we gonna do this show? Like, you know what I mean? I've already, pitched and we went to his house that one time, and pitched the concept to him, and he said yes. So I really want to take advantage of Richmond's, food and beverage scene, and put a show like that together. I think it'll be dope. It's something that I haven't done because today I realized that everything that I do is basically revolved around music, like everything I'm involved in. So I'm stepping out of that comfort zone of music and going into an area where I really don't know anything about it. I just enjoy seeing these things. So that's it.
That's good. That's good.
And then Music Hills.
You heard that, guys.
Late 2022.
Late 20. Hey, yo, I'm with you on that because like when it came to like dropping the app, I just said coming 2021. Coming 2021, but it's coming real soon.
And folks don't even know how long we you know what I mean? Like you've had that idea and we've been working together, like building it out. It's been many different levels to that.
Facts.
Facts.
So we're about to wrap it up, and it's one of the. This is the time that I give the guest, or am I the guest?
You're the guest, but I'll let you go ahead and narrate.
We're gonna give the host.
Thank you.
We're gonna give a host the closing statements. Typically at this time we give the person who's on to leave something for the people. With you calling yourself a baby creative, someone new in the game, what would you tell those people who are just starting or who just have ideas and are afraid to execute, and the opportunities that can come to them if they just give themselves like an opportunity just to follow?
You said it just right there. Put that on the shirt. Give yourself an opportunity. Honestly, that's what it's all about. I started this. I used to be someone who could recognize a good idea and always wanted to, but it was someone else's idea. But I wanted to be a part of it. I just wanted to help, and in some aspect, and that didn't always work out for me. And so then I just started developing my own ideas, and it's never too late. Write it down. I'm such a big proponent of writing it down, making it plain, and taking that time to build it out. I'm gonna look in the camera. Give yourself the grace to build the idea out. Step out of your comfort zones, because sometimes when you don't know people and you want to execute something a certain way, it is scary. Putting yourself out there, because people could say no. People could try to play you. I don't deal with disrespect well, so there's that. But like Knox said, give yourself the opportunity to at least see what can happen with it. I'm someone who works in a lot of male-dominated industries. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's hard being the only girl sometimes. But I still do it. So still just do it. Just like Nike said. Even though that's kind of cliche, just do it. You never know what experiences are waiting for you, like around what opportunities. I feel like God was just waiting for me to trust him and step out on faith, and all of the opportunities were already laid down for me to walk into. I just had to get over the hump, you know what I'm saying, and meet him halfway a little bit on that, and then it just come from there. So just I think that is so great what you said. Give yourself the opportunity. That sums it up. Give yourself the opportunity.
Hey, I don't know if y'all actually seen that, but that was big of her for being someone who never wanted to be in front of the camera to looking directly at the camera.
All right, my heart's starting to beat. Don't do that.
Looking directly at the camera. That's on that insecure joint. Growth.
Bro, I hate it. Remember the first time I shot a Music Hills short?
Yeah.
I was sick for a week after that. I was so nervous. I'm not good in front of the camera. That was horrible. That was a horrible time, and I really got like physically sick for a week. So this is growth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it shows you with having an idea how much growth you can have over the course of the years if you give yourself the opportunity to follow that.
Put that on a shirt. I want in.
I want equity.
Oh God! Have you laughed this much in one of these?
Nah,
I knew it was gonna cut up. Like I knew it. Now people seek because you're always cool.
Hey, you gotta keep that mystique.
Listen,
You gotta keep that mystique.
you mystiqueless today.
I realized just doing this, kind of some of the mystique is gonna go away. So I realized that, but you know, it's opening other opportunities.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
yeah, but this is great.
Thank
This is
you.
great. This is great. Yeah, I think we had a great dialogue, and we are like an hour in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. I appreciate this.
For sure. I that's why I reached out. I knew you would be a great guest / host, and it would be great for so many people, you know, just starting out and, you know, wanting to go towards ideas, but being afraid to. And you are a reflection of that, and you've seen some of the results of that. And
I thought you was gonna say you a reflection of me. I was about to say pause. Wait a minute. Nah, like honestly, I feel like this is about to be how after we edit Music Hills episodes and we be gassing each other in the comments, I'm about to throw that joint right back on you. Nah, like being your friend like really has given me like the permission to take chances on myself. So I appreciate that. Like you never let me play myself.
you shouldn't.
Like I'm producer of healing and editor because you told me what do you want your title to be, and I gave myself some like lowly whatever made up thing, and you came back was like producer or art director, pick one. Like you never let me play myself. So
Give yourself more credit.
yeah,
You put the work in.
I appreciate that.
Of course. Well, thank you for being on once again.
Thank you for having me.
This is Antonio Knox with Alex Blvck, and peace out.
Been the gradient.
Yes, this has been the gradient. Good.